Yeah.
Oh, he's got the purple.
No, it's not much different from what it was a minute ago.
Okay, let me see if our page is live on Facebook.
Oh, I hear it. I felt it.
You've been notified. The force. You felt the force.
Yeah, in my watch.
A great disturbance in the force. Technorama has started.
That's right.
Oh, that's a nice opening picture we have. That's beautiful. Okay. And now we share the video. So change it to me.
The ceremonial sharing.
Oh, we can do this.
On this auspicious occasion, let the horn of eternity cut a thunderous blast.
Yeah, there we go. I shared it too. Shared to your timeline. All right. Hey, everybody, welcome. This is the pre-show for Technorama. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started in just a moment. We're just making sure all the last technical details are set and steady, you know, like audio effects, like that.
Good news, nobodies.
Sounds like he stayed up too late singing karaoke last night.
That's right. Somebody did. You didn't do Puppy Love. I was disappointed.
No. Didn't make the cut. Was it
Actually,
from 72?
Huh?
Was it from 1972?
It was. I actually looked it up to make sure. But, oh well.
You just wanted to find the strangest thing you could find, right?
Oh, sure there was a few more. Actually, I searched for worst song in 1972, and that was on the top 10 list.
Mike says, fart jokes already?
Huh?
Clinton's asking about the background. No.
Oh.
No. Background not found. I have a background, but I'm just not going to use it tonight. All right. StreamYard does have some basic hotkeys.
Oh, yeah, I think I did see a few, but I haven't learned them yet.
Well, you can tweak them, but please don't change them now because I hooked up the Stream Deck to some of the basic ones.
Maybe that's what I was thinking of. No, I'm not going to change anything. But
Right.
I think I remember. Oh, yeah, I was hovering over something and I saw shortcuts pop up.
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, if you go to like comments, it'll say press C. Banners is press B. Brand is capital B. All right. And I did start the broadcast with the Stream Deck. So I think we're ready to begin. Let me get the mixer ready to record.
Just trying to get my browsers in order here.
Get your browsers in order.
See, the problem is if I don't have your video in the right spot, it looks like I'm looking off to the side of the screen, which actually I'm just looking over to see you.
Well, you're not supposed to look at me during the show. You're supposed to look at the camera.
No, I know. But sometimes I go to see what you're doing, and it's like, I know it looks like I'm not paying attention, but I am, I promise.
Whoa, what happened to my audio there? Okay, your audio is a little hotter than mine for whatever reason.
Hold on, I can adjust it here.
I got it.
Okay. I was say the mic volume might be a little high in StreamYard, but
and we are recording in 3, 2, 1. Technorama episode 655 after 1 hot minute. Hello and welcome to Technorama. This is the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome! Boom! 655. If you're returning, welcome back. You do the math. I don't know which ones you listen to. This is the show that takes a, like I said, lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, a whole bunch of geek topics. We've got a bunch of them tonight. If you're watching us live, you can catch us on Facebook and YouTube at 9:30 Eastern Time, 6:30 Pacific Time. And we look for you there. You can join us for the live chat. We do have several people out there right now. We'll give a shout out at the appropriate time. And
Yeah. And
well, let's get to the intros. I'm Chuck Tomasi from sunny Phoenix, Arizona, and joining me as always is Kreg Stepp. How are you, Kreg?
I'm doing great. Actually, I know we both were off for a little while, and
We're always off.
yeah, what were you doing?
Like the beans are off. I was on vacation in Hawaii with my wife and the in-laws, my sister-in-law and her husband.
That's cool.
Yeah,
Were you checking in on your macadamia nut farm?
checking in on my timeshare, making sure they're spending my maintenance fees appropriately.
Yeah, you're walking around, looking at things.
This could be a little cleaner over here.
Yeah, yeah. I'll get the pull boy on it. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to. I was asked to shoot pictures for up in Hendersonville, North Carolina, for it was a pet fashion show.
Yes.
So the dogs all had vests and various collars and stuff on, and that was a lot of fun to do. Shooting an event like that. I like shooting events. Sometimes it gets a little. It can get a little nerve wracking trying to make sure you're getting the pictures you're supposed to be getting, but
I'm
when you
not
don't know where you're going to be and where everybody else is going to be.
I'm not sure if John Miller Jr.'s comment ties into your pet show, but
No,
says
they weren't
it's
making wolf chili.
is that the kind of chili you just wolf down? Ah!
Yeah, that's right.
Never mind. Hang on, I need to unplug something. There, it was dangling underneath the desk and it was bothering me. All right, we are on our way. We didn't have a question of the week posted this week, but we're going to play the music anyway and ask a question.
Yeah.
Oh, we get letters. We get your letters.
Letters every day.
Mailman,
Mailman,
mailman, mail today.
Oh boy.
Try them and pull one out. Those letters.
Oh boy.
I love those letters.
Oh boy.
What to say? Oh boy. Mailman
Ding dong.
today.
Gotta love the latency, folks.
Yeah.
All right, our question of the week should have been, what are some of your Halloween traditions? But nobody answered because we didn't ask on social media. So Kreg and I will share ours. Why don't you go
Sure.
first?
Well, it's funny because Kim's step grandmother, I guess I say the lineage goes. She used to have this tradition. We go over their house, and she's no longer with us, so I can say this out loud. She would make this terrible hot dog chili and serve hot dogs at Halloween. So we'd be like, "Oh, it's that time of year. We got to."
Wait, was she passing out hot dogs to the kids?
No,
Oh.
no. It was just for us while we were passing out candy and stuff.
Ah, gotcha. I
Yeah,
thought I
so-
imagined the kid going trick or treat, and she dumps a scoop of chili in their bag.
Well, that'd have been one way to get rid of it. But so that was a running gag, and even though she's been gone for a while now, I still think about it at Halloween. I think about her as like, Mary and her chili. Oh well. But it's good. Yeah, it's fine.
Come on, be honest. You have a compulsion. You want to make some of that hot dog chili.
It's crossed my mind. Actually,
Just for the sake of saying you're keeping up the tradition. And Harrison's
know.
going to go, oh my God, what is this?
yeah. Oh no, Harrison's had those hot dogs too. He knows. And we have another tradition now. Is my parents come over, and Kim's mom comes over, and I'll put a fire pit out in front of my driveway, and we'll pass out candy. I put a little fire in it. But funny side, real quick. The fire pit was hot, when we're done.
They usually are.
So I just I had dad help me just move it off to the side of the driveway, and I
Did
said
you
I'll move
burn
it.
the grass?
No, I said I'll move it behind the house the next morning, right? So the next day, I go outside. I'm walking my dog Juno, and as we leave the driveway, I was like, okay, I'll get I'll move the pit when we come back from our walk. I came back. I turned the corner with the dog, and I saw a car in front of my driveway. I'm like, the hell is this car doing for my driveway? So I start moving a
wanted
little
to buy
closer
it?
to see
You
what it
thought you
was.
were getting rid of it?
They put it in their trunk and took off with it.
Yeah, no.
In all fairness, it was an old rusty one. Actually, the previous owners of this house left. I just kept using it, and so I actually talked to the people, and um, when we had a big laugh about it, I said, "You can just take it." I let them take it, and I'll just get a new one. But thought that was funny that they
Hey,
were
don't
loading
forget
up.
the hot dog chili.
Yeah. Well, hey, let me ask you this. Okay, so here's the funny thing. Okay, we all had a laugh about it once I figured out what they were doing. Uh, but she said I knocked on the door and nobody answered. I was like, okay, she thought enough to go ask for permission, but this she didn't get it. She loaded it up anyway.
Did it have a sign on it that said "Free, take me"?
No, and
You don't
neither
just
did
go
the
take
char
things out of people's yards.
hey, and neither did the charred piece of wood that was still in it. So
Smoldering from the night before.
wasn't quite smoke moldering, but one piece didn't quite finish burning. It was just charred. I was like, what were they thinking? Anyway, I thought it was funny. I'll let them take it. I said whatever.
Well, imagine
But
if it had been a good one, a valuable one. Like, hey,
oh well, that'd have been a different story. I'd have been. I don't know. I don't know. It wasn't, so I wasn't too worried about it. So I don't know.
we have a quarterly what do they call it? Large yard waste pickup kind of thing. You're not
Mhm.
supposed to put leaves and whatnot out, but if you've got a toilet, you can't really put a toilet in the wheelie bin. So in
You can.
August and November and
Yeah.
those every 3 months, you shove it out on the curb. And we said, well, our pickup week is going to be while we're gone. So we've sort of been saving up the stuff for the last several months. And it's funny because I I don't know if anything ever gets picked up because the scavengers get it first.
Oh
We
yeah.
we put out 2 old adjustable height stools that wouldn't
Hmm.
adjust anymore. I think they adjusted, but they're kinda broken. Said, "Look, we don't want them anymore." We put those out. I put a whole bunch of the lumber that was part of the old studio configuration out
Yeah.
there. There were several
Hey
things.
man, that was good money. That's money you just put on the street.
Yeah, let them build a shelter out of it.
Shelter.
'Cause there wasn't enough to build a house or anything useful, and it was still full of staples and nails and
Yeah.
whatever.
Right.
I know that the stools disappeared, like, within hours of me putting them out there. There must be people just driving around going, "What do we got? What do we got?
Hmm.
Score! I got some
Yeah.
stools."
Right.
And, then when we came back from Hawaii, everything was gone. So, some of it may have been picked up by the scavengers. I've had that before. Oh, track lighting from the, old kitchen
Yeah.
dining area. We had some halogen lights. I think we kept
Oh.
the lights, but the track lighting, the old blinds that used to be in the studio, the regular metal louvered ones,
Hmm.
they disappeared. I didn't even have, like, the end brackets to hold them up.
Yeah. Hey, there
People
was
will
one
take
time.
anything.
Yeah, one time I took it was an old grill. I've used my grills till about to fall apart in the
Yep.
past. The last three of them I've been like that. And one of them I took out. It was just a cheap one. It was one that had like just two little wheels on it that you like a little clamshell. You know, I
2
remember
wheels.
where you lift up on it and you kind of pull
Was
it.
it a Weber?
Yeah, it was kind of like a
Okay, so it was a three-legged thing with 2 wheels on it. I'm like, how a four-legged one
no,
with 2 wheels wouldn't be very useful.
no, it had four legs, but the two wheels on the back. You just kind of lift up on it and
Oh, okay,
apart.
okay. I got
So
it.
anyway, it's just a cheap clamshell looking one. I remember it was falling apart. I put it on the road. I walked back inside maybe to get something else. And I came back out and I was like, I did take that grill out, didn't I? And it was gone that quickly. I was like, somebody must
Somebody
have
got
came
it
by.
while you were making trips back and forth to the
I
garage?
I was like, somebody must have ridden by and grabbed it as they were driving by out the window and took off.
They just reach on with one
Yeah,
arm and
yeah.
they didn't even bother
I don't
putting it
know.
in the
It's
vehicle.
gone. Yeah, that was the
Wow.
fastest I've ever seen. So, yep. Anyway, just thought that was funny.
Okay. How did we get off of? We got off of Halloween traditions. John Miller Jr. says, "I bought a bag of candy from the dollar store for me." Does that
Yeah.
count? If you do that every year, man, that's your tradition. It counts.
Yeah, why not? I'm slowly making my way through what actually I ended up with more candy than what I bought. I don't know how that worked out. Oh, I know. I do know. My parents said, "Okay, see you later." They jumped in their car and took off and didn't take the candy with them. I was like, "Crap, now I got more candy in the house."
Well, fortunately, we weren't around, so we didn't have the overload of candy. Because what often happens is Donna will go out and buy a couple of bags of whatever she likes,
Mhm.
and maybe there's kids and we give away a handful of pieces, and maybe there's not, but then we have candy sitting around for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well,
Mm.
we had a lot extra we had a lot of candy, so as the kids were coming by, I was being generous that night. So I was like, "Don't throw eggs on my house. Here, take these. Here's 4 pieces."
So you're paying protection money in candy.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the mob around here,
Hey,
man.
mister, it'd be a
Yeah.
shame if your, tree was to get toilet papered, you know?
Accidents happen when eggs just go flying out of the sky. I don't know. Yeah. So anyway, those are a little bit of my tradition, or the Halloween hot dogs and sitting in front of the driveway.
We haven't had a chance to really set up any traditions here because, we've been empty nesters since we moved here.
Well, yeah, I
Uh,
know. Yeah,
I guess we could start going on a trip every Halloween. That'd be a nice tradition. The
yeah,
when the kids were little, obviously, we took them around the neighborhood and,
sure.
went trick or treating. One of my favorite memories is when Julie was probably 3. Yeah. The first year, I think maybe she was 2. We got about 3 houses down. She got tired and we came back. Next year we got a little further. The next year we got a little further, and I don't remember if it was when she was 3 or 4. She was very young. And we went up to this one elderly gentleman's house. He opens the door and he gives her like 2 little Tootsie Rolls. She looks in the bag and looks back at him and goes, "Can you believe it? Some people are giving us 4 or 5 pieces of candy."
What?
She guilted that guy into giving her,
Oh,
like, several pieces more, and I
dear
always
girl.
wondered what would happen if you tried this at work about the time it was, salary adjustment or compensation review time.
Yeah,
Go up to your boss and say, "Can you believe it? Some people are getting 15 or
yeah.
16% raises."
Everybody's getting raises. That's right. Um, Man, my phone's flying off the hook here. What was I gonna say?
Turn off your alerts.
Oh, there was oh, there were we were sitting around the fire, and of course the kids would come up and the parents were kind of trailing behind them, some of the younger kids. The parents would come up trailing behind them. And I saw this probably about 6. It must have been the grandparents. Your grandparents and a couple and the parents, they were older people. I said, "Oh crap, they're dressed up as the Walking Dead." And they all busted out laughing. Oh, that's funny. I have a good time talking a little bit of crap. Same,
All
you
right.
know.
I think we should
Anyway.
move on because we have plenty of more stories and whatnot to cover, including the history.
Oh, one more thing. I'm just kidding. Let's move on.
Okay, good. Because I am. On this day in history for November 17th, 2021, this is the 321st, 321, 321st day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. There are 44, 44. It reads the same forwards and backwards.
Palindrome Day.
It's kind of a palindrome
Yeah,
day
sort
and
of.
a countdown day. It was on this date in 1800 that the United States Congress held its first session in Washington, D.C.
And on November 17th, 1820, Captain Nathaniel Palmer became the first American to see Antarctica. The Palmer Peninsula was later named after him.
I see Antarctica. It was 74 years ago today that American scientists John Bardeen and Walter Hauser, Britain, they observed the basic principles of the transistor. Wow, we all owe these two a debt of gratitude because
Yeah.
that's one of the key elements for the electronics revolution of the 20th century.
Yes, it was. And also, November 17th, 1970, the Soviet Union landed Lunokhod. No, cod.
God.
Lunokhod. It's like a fish. Lunokhod 1 on Mare Imbrium, the Sea of Rains on the moon. It was the first roving remote controlled robot to land on another world and is released by the orbiting Luna 17th spacecraft.
48 years ago today in Orlando, Florida, U.S. President Richard Nixon told 400 Associated Press managing editors, "I am not a crook."
Yeah. And actor Arnold Schwarzenegger, I don't know why I did that little accent. I don't know. tenure as the governor of California began on the state in 2003.
The governor.
That's right.
Also on November 17th, 2019, the first known case of fond memories here, just 2 short years ago, first known case of COVID-19 was traced to a 55-year-old man who had visited a market in Wuhan, Hubei province, China. I guess you could say he was the first one to get vaccinated too? For natural immunization?
Oh, maybe. Did he live? I don't remember.
You don't know. Happy birthday goes out in the state to German mathematician and astronomer August Ferdinand Mobius, born on this date in 1790. Without him, we wouldn't have the Mobius strip.
Oh, yeah, I guess not. And Hungarian physicist and mathematician, Nobel Prize laureate Eugene Wigner was born 119 years ago today.
Soichiro Honda, Japanese engineer and businessman, co-founded the Kawasaki Motor Company. No, the Honda Motor Company. He was born on this date in 1906.
And born November 17th, 1917, American mathematician Ruth Aronson Bari.
I believe it's Aronson.
Aronson? Okay.
We like to celebrate all mathematicians, whether they're big, little, orange, green, women, men, doesn't matter. Also born on the same date in 1938, Canadian singer-songwriter and guitarist Gordon Lightfoot. Now go sing the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I like Gordon Lightfoot. American director, producer, screenwriter, and actor Martin Scorsese, born on this date in 1942.
And also turning 78 today is American model and actress Lauren Hutton, 78. Yikes.
No kidding.
Listener birthdays on this week include, just one. I know we missed about 400 birthdays in the couple of weeks we were off. But November 22nd is Tom Poe's birthday. So happy birthday to you, buddy. And we will get back to a more fruitious. No, what's the word I'm looking for? I have no idea. Let's get to the banner.
Consistent?
Well, more birthdays coming up. If you want to be on the birthday calendar, you can check out the little crawler at the bottom. chuckchat.com/birthday will give you a shout out to the appropriate time of year. We currently have, was it 250 people on the calendar? We don't have enough for one every day.
I haven't counted. Is that right?
I believe so. I counted 251 rows in the spreadsheet.
Well, take one count off for the header row.
I did. 251 minus 1 is 250. I know.
Okay.
We even have this calendar's been around so long, some people have passed away. But we still celebrate their birthdays.
Absolutely.
Just like those Russian physicists that were born in 1784, whatever it was. All right. That's the way it was on this day in history for November 17th, 2021. How are we doing on the music? Too much left.
Just let it play the whole time while we're done.
No, there's like another minute left.
Oh.
We know how that song goes anyway.
Yeah.
Carefree Highway. Oops, hey, the band.
Is there lyrics to that?
Carefree Highway?
No, the band. What's our birthday song?
Don't tempt me. Don't tempt me. I'll make some up.
Okay.
We'll
save that for Saturday night.
News, everyone.
Good.
What?
Well, I wouldn't call this exactly bright and interesting. Good news, because we found an article on livescience.com about an asteroid with a most interesting name, Kama Oalua.
Chameleon.
Kamo Oalua. And it's only because I've been in Hawaii for 10 days that I can even come close to that
Yeah.
name.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
It's a Hawaiian word that roughly means the oscillating celestial fragment.
Hmm.
Kamo Kamo Oalua. That's it. Oalewa.
Oalua.
I'll have a cup of Kahlua, sure.
Yeah, Kalua. That's right.
It was discovered a few years ago, but it's really small. And small as in about the size of a Ferris wheel is what they said. What was that? 18 meters or so,
Well,
15.
yeah, in space terms, that is pretty small.
It is. Well, the trickier part is it's also so far away. We can only see it about 190 feet. That's what it was. 58 meters. It's believed that this is a remnant of an old impact with the moon. It's a chunk
Really?
of moon surface, and it is in a stable orbit, which is how they
Mhm.
figured it's from the moon because it's highly unlikely that this thing would have flown in from the outer solar system, like a comet or a meteorite or an asteroid or something, and been captured and then trailing along with the moon. Let me see if I can figure out how far it is. Um, the the object is 4 million times fainter than what humans can see with the naked eye. Every April, the rock's orbit brings it close enough to Earth that it becomes briefly visible to our most powerful telescopes. In this case, close enough means about 9 million miles or 14.4 million kilometers from Earth.
Jeez. Yeah.
It's nearly 40 times the distance between Earth and the moon. So it's far away and it's just sort of out there going, "Hey, I've been following you around." And they expect it to be following us around for at least another 300 years. And we can
So we
only
have
see
2 moons.
well, we have a lot of moons.
Well,
We have a
just
lot of
one that we know of. I mean, that we
Well, there's
reference
the
all the
big
time.
white one in the sky that you
Yeah.
see, but there's also uh depends how you classify a moon.
Oh, great. Here we go with the Pluto thing again.
Pluto has moons. Pluto's smaller than us and has moons.
That's no moon.
That's that's no moon. That's a man bending over doing plumbing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
So interesting stuff. We continue to find little things out there, even with our most powerful telescopes. It can be hard to see some of these things, and they don't always appear when you expect them to. So we'll be able to catch it for many, many years to come. I don't think there's any missions planned to go out and get a sample of this to verify that it is lunar junk, but based on the light reflectivity, they can tell the composition of this stuff by the way
yeah.
that the light reflects, and they say it's a lot like what we see off of the moon.
Yeah. Well, they can do a spectrum analysis, right?
Sure, we're not scientists and we don't play one on TV, but we read articles about it and pretend we are.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine they can probably. Well, they look at distant planets that they discover and say, "Oh, it's got water on it." Well, how do you know that? Well, it's because of the light waves. So,
Because of the light coming through it from the distant sun.
mhm.
In other space news,
Space news.
you wanna do that?
Sure, the Mars
Go ahead.
rover scrapes a rock
It's
intentionally.
space
Not,
news.
yeah, space news. So, oh, hold on. Auto starting video. I can't stand
No,
that.
I know, I
It's terrible.
and you don't know
Y-
because there's no audio for, like, the first 5 seconds. It's not till you scroll down, like, "Where's
You
that
know,
audio coming from?"
for all the years that news sites have been putting autoplay video on there, that's the biggest thing that bugged me, especially early on when the internet's not as fast as it is today. I would be about 2 paragraphs in, all of a sudden you start hearing, "Ah, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, what in the hell? You know, gosh.
Alright, read
Anyway,
on.
so Perseverance, the
Perseverance.
Perseverance, yes, thank
Our
you,
listeners will know you
rover,
persevere.
yeah, took a well-deserved break in October during the stellar conjunction, but it is back investigating rocks in the Jezero crater on Mars. So they were scraping a rock,
Yeah.
and to see, I guess, do a spectrum analysis. and see what it was made of, and they determined it was the moon. No, I'm just kidding.
No.
So, one of the rover's key goals was to collect a sample from rocks and dirt on Mars that will be returned to Earth in future missions. It has already collected 2 samples and has used help from the Ingenuity helicopter acting as an aerial scout. There's one. There's one.
There's a rock. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Go over there. So these layered rocks that they actually cut into is often formed by what looks like water and can hold clues about what the environment used to be like. So they found a good outcropping that they thought looked like it was formed by water, and they decided to scrape it. So after chipping away the rocks, the rover sent back images to show what was beneath the rusty looking top layer, what appears to be a bevy of grainy materials and sediments.
Yep.
So that's more clues that water has been there at some point in the past. Appearing inside, it looked like something no one's ever seen.
It's like nothing we've ever seen before.
Yeah, I know.
So they're estimating that this thing was on the side of a lake, about 3.7 billion years ago. And because it was cream cheese. Nice.
Thanks, Mike.
We scraped away the rock and found cream cheese, and we scraped away the cream cheese and we found a bagel.
Well, the moon's made of cheese, so
No.
it makes sense. Cream cheese.
So yeah, interesting stuff. They said it was kind of a crystalline structure, but because of the stratification, the layers.
What? We've seen what happens with those things.
What?
The crystalline
entities? No.
Not a good thing.
Get it with the right resonance, and it will shatter anyway.
Yeah.
Oh,
here you
that's
go.
kind of perseverance stuff. Philadelphia cream cheese. That was a song by Elton John.
That's right.
Okay. So yeah, perseverance is up there doing its job, and it's going to keep doing this. Looking at rocks, when they said it was scraping away, I was like, how do you do that? It's got almost like a blunt head drill bit that just goes brrr and makes a circle.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like when there's tunnel, like there's machines that dig tunnels.
Like
They have the big flat front on it, and it just kind of rotates in a million different ways, and it just cuts right into it. Yeah.
They're called a tunnel boring machine.
Yes. I don't know why I was looking for the boring. Yeah. Yeah. Welcome to Technorama. We're boring again.
We're going to jump right into the Hacks and Strange Stories, where we have a very interesting idea on how to launch vehicles without using up a lot of precious fossil fuels. Although
this blew my mind when I saw this. I was like, what? It didn't make sense. But go ahead. I'll let you go ahead.
Aren't most rockets lit by hydrogen and liquid oxygen?
Yeah.
Those aren't exactly fossil fuels, so they're kind of
no, but they are expensive fuels, and it takes a while to ship them there and fill up a ship. Actually,
do you know you cannot, if you filled up a rocket ship, you can't let it sit on the launch pad too long because it's literally evaporating away. It's boiling away.
Oh yeah, yeah. As soon as that's right. As soon as they scrub a launch, they remove it.
Yep.
Well, one, it's flammable, but for safety reasons, however, but they have to remove it. As a matter of fact, they were talking about filling up Starship, the SpaceX ship that's in Texas, sitting on the pad right now, and they were trying to fill it up, and they were having to bring multiple trucks in to fill it up.
So back to our story.
Yeah, that's big. Huh? What story? Yeah, this one.
A company called Spin Launch has an idea of how to get rockets up there.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to spin them around, kind of like, if you took a yo-yo and let it spin at the end of its string, go, and then you let it go at the right time, it would go straight up. So they've built this giant
centrifuge
thing. Yeah, a centrifuge. Is it a centrifuge technically?
Well, yeah, because you're
okay.
You're gonna swing it away.
Centrifuge. I'm trying to get a measurement. They said it's as tall. It's taller than the Statue of Liberty without
Wow.
its base.
It doesn't look that from the picture, but yeah, okay. Wow.
And it spins things around at 5,000 miles per hour with G-forces in excess of 10,000. Now, humans, you're thinking, great, this is a great way to get rockets up. That ought to be a great way to get humans up. No, humans would just be a red paste against the wall by the time you let
The
it go.
International Space Station, what we got didn't live long.
Okay. Most humans
fortunately.
can pass out with G-forces as low as 3.
Yeah.
And maybe survive up to 9G. This is 10,000 G. Okay. Again, you would be a puddle of mush against the wall.
Yeah.
So you're not sending people up there. They did launch a 10-foot long projectile, though. Sent it up tens of thousands of feet. It didn't actually achieve orbit, but they said that was only with the centrifuge running at 20% of its full power.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's conceivable. And if they build bigger ones, they can get 400 and they're looking to get things up to 440 pounds. You guys are going to have to do the math, roughly 200, just over 200 kilograms.
So this is probably good for getting a satellite up there, but not much else.
Cargoes, yes. It hopes to offer its services to paying customers as early as 2024. That's like 2 years away, dude.
Wait a minute. So supplies, I mean, because that would, you put food or whatever,
Yes!
it would get torn up as well.
Replenished. You'd have to have it. I don't know if you can angle this thing or if the rockets would then take over on navigation and thrusters or something, or because if you just chuck something straight up in the air and it's in space, I mean, when they launch rockets or the space shuttle, it looks like it's going straight up, but then it kind of arcs and goes
Yeah.
into orbit. So you'd have to have some sort of gyros and navigation and whatnot on the rocket after it reaches some escape velocity.
Yeah. Well, here's the level of physicist I am. You remember when you were a kid and you were like, I'm gonna throw it really fast, and you would sling your arm around and try and that's about as far as I could. I can't comprehend how they would sling a rocket out like that. But
You ever watch quote unquote slow pitch softball? Those girls doing that?
yeah,
They whip their arm around real fast and that thing comes out almost as fast as a baseball.
sure,
Crazy.
yeah.
So yeah, this is the same kind of idea. I remember swinging my arm around as a kid and all I felt was the blood rushing to the end of my fingers.
I
Going,
want to
don't
see a
think that's
video.
not a good feeling.
Oh yeah, that does. Yeah, I've done that before. Yeah, I want to see a video of this.
There is an animated GIF on the website if you want to see.
Yeah, I see that, but that's not doing it for me. I don't understand.
Right.
I see it looks like they turn a fan on, and then I see a rocket coming breaking through some paper.
That's like looking straight down from the top. This thing is spinning, going.
Okay.
Yeah, the
Oh,
rocket
okay.
ripping through the paper. I'm not sure what that's all about.
So the rocket's on the end of one of the blades.
Well, this got me to thinking. If it's on the end of the blade, you have to have a counterbalance that's equal to the weight of the rocket. Otherwise, it's going to be too hard to spin. It's going to be off balance. So you've got this thing perfectly balanced. If you've got, say, a 100-pound rocket, you've got to have a 100-pound counterbalance on the other side. Once the rocket's released, that thing's still spinning, but now it's off balance. How do you take care of that?
I think we should get one of these people on the phone.
Yeah. Because it clearly looks like there's two, well, I guess it is going kind of fast, isn't it? 2 fan blades in there.
Yeah, but you're like you just said, if you unless they drop the other weight, it's gonna. I mean, they could
Right.
even turn it off. Even if they turn it off.
At the exact instance that the rocket goes straight up, the counterweight goes straight down.
Move!
Look out, Jerry!
That's right. Look out, Jerry.
So, yeah, maybe we ought to get a hold of one of these people. This is an interesting thing. I'm interested.
All right. Well, cool. I want to learn more because like I said, the 10-year-old physicist in my head is like, I don't get it. So
Kudos to them for thinking of new ways. This isn't an exactly new idea, but they have brought it to life and done some testing on it. So it's it's nice to see people thinking about, hey, are there other ways to do this? Are there other more cost-effective ways? Because right now, I think the figure that I heard was roughly $10,000 a pound to launch something into orbit. And if you got to stock somebody up with 6 months worth of food and
Well, even
experiments and water and
even look how much SpaceX has cut that cost down. It cost more before.
they're getting there.
Now we got reusable rockets, and
But you still have
they're
to do
landing
maintenance
them.
on those rockets. So you
Yeah,
got
no, but I'm
things up
saying,
to fuel them.
well, Elon I forget the exact number, but he was talking about how much the price would come down if you can reuse it, even if you got a maintenance on. You don't have to build it again. That's the whole thing. You
Right.
don't have to. So yeah, I mean, so anyway, it's cheaper than he had been in the 90s, 80s, 70s, or whatever.
Yeah, but the cost of this stuff has gone up. You can't get it from
Mhm.
China. It's sitting on a boat off of Long Beach.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I don't know why when I'm was joking about the International Space Station. Our buddy Jonathan Strickland, he does the Tech Stuff podcast. He just
Yeah.
finished a series recently, and you can go back and find it. It's like in the last month. He finished a series about space stations. It was pretty good. There was some good history in there, and after hearing some of that, I'm surprised that they even made some space stations that made it up there.
Do you know the space shuttle was approved by Richard Nixon in 1972?
Well, it makes sense. I didn't really know
That's
that,
how
but
long it took to get that program going.
yeah, because it was another 8, 9 years before it actually flew, right? Well,
That had
2, 3,
reusable
8.
components.
The whole thing was reusable for the most part.
No, not the boosters.
I said for the most part. And, no, but
No,
SpaceX could have landed those things now.
I'm sorry, the boosters were the tank. The main tank was not.
Hmm.
Got it
No,
mixed up.
yeah, that's right. The tank was toss it.
All right. Oh, wow. I kind of forgot that the birthday crawler was still crawling.
Oh, sorry.
Well, if you haven't got your name on the birthday calendar by now,
Hmm. Yeah,
because now
it
it's
in there.
time to let you know that you can join us live on Sunday nights, as we did at the top of the show. Facebook and YouTube will be here. Get your chats out there. And because I forgot about that, I also, what did he say? Can you imagine the shrapnel from a failed launch of one of those things going around the centrifuge?
Oh,
That
no
would
kidding.
be incredible.
Maybe
Well,
no.
I mean, probably no more dangerous than a rocket tipping over and exploding, which happens all the time at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in
Yeah.
Kazakhstan. What else do we have? That's our shout out to the chat room. Yes. We have John Miller Jr. Gary Lindros is on, or was
Yeah.
on for a little while. And
He gave
Clinton
up.
from
I'm
Comedy
kidding.
Forecast. Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald, not high on the karaoke list. Mike Robeson, we mentioned before, and that is all I see. People just kind of popping in and out and saying hi. We've got Clinton's watching on YouTube, and most of the other people are watching on Facebook. So we broadcasted both at the same time.
Yeah.
Fun for us. Also want to thank the patrons. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Bring that down just a little bit. It's time for the reading of the patrons. We have a number of people that have generously contributed to the show. Every month they put in $1 or so into the fund, and that helps keep our streaming going, helps keep our hosting, our bandwidth, our software upgrades. And one other expense that comes up once a year is the generous contributions that we try to provide back to the services that we use voluntarily, like Wikipedia. A lot of people use Wikipedia, including us, for our history segment. And I said, we are getting value out of this. We ought to pay them for something. So we gave a little bit out of the kitty this year, or just this past week.
Shoot. How many times I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, not a problem. I also use it for Saturday Night Karaoke. We've been going through the years and giving little history segments on that. Like you said, how many times do you reference Wikipedia? And
do it all the time.
What was it? If 2% of the people gave just a couple of bucks, they'd stay in business. I mean, they wouldn't have any funding problems.
Mhm.
And if the people who didn't give were able to give for those who didn't, it's like, Okay, now maybe it's $5 because Craig can't afford it and I can, or whatever it is. So we gave our fair share. Basically, $1 a week is what we pay
Mhm.
for keeping Wikipedia going, and
And
that's
for
well worth it too. It's worth far more than that, but we didn't want to
especially considering it's a it's a free resource
Yeah.
where you just look up stuff. So how can you not give them back to them? I
you know,
would say
and,
go.
and remember, take it with a grain of salt. It is, community contributed, so people
Yeah,
are
well, you know what?
theoretically vetting that information, but
That may be true, but there's a lot of theoretically, just like open source software, you have a lot of people putting eyes on it. Sometimes things get out of whack, but it is a great jumping off point
Yep.
for starting
Yep.
a conversation in your head about a subject.
So the people that are helping us from this mighty team of warriors to help fund Technorama, so we can help fund Wikipedia and among other things. Alexis Duran, thank you. Amber Elstad, Amy Bowen, Abner Braverman, Ben Vaughn, Brian Brown, Chris MC, Dandy Man Coyer, Dean Jensen, Denise Inglis, Gary Lindros, who just got a shout out on the chat, John Clifford, John Noble, Yorga Sharawan. Yorga, man, I think he was like our first, or was Kyle our first? Christina and Kyle and Leon. We saw Leon again at Dragon Con. He's like,
yes, we did.
Regular. Mark Kilfoyle, Mike Wills, Chris Martinez, Saturday Morning Media, Stephen Weshy, Steve Therian, Steve Cody, and Steve London. Oh, there's 26 seconds. We don't get to the end of this song very often, so
Yeah.
we'll let this one play out. Wait a minute. Didn't some guy do his Christmas lights on his house to this song once?
Yeah, probably.
That might be where I got it.
Oh, yeah. Oops.
Oops. Well, I certainly wasn't going to be taking Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
No, we'd be deep doo-doo.
All right. Yeah, oddly enough, nobody's ever flagged us on that song.
Yeah.
So if you want to become part of the Patreon crowd, let's go to banners. Patreon. There we go. Patreon.com/Technorama podcast is where you want to go. Patreon.com/Technorama podcast. All one word. And for as little as $1 a month, you can get your name enshrined on the show. We've got 25 other people that are doing that right now. Thank you very much. We are very grateful for your generosity and hope others can join as well. If you find this show is worth $1 a week, like we do for Wikipedia, at least that.
Right.
No, I don't want to become the stewardship committee of
Technorama. Wow, you're kind of guilting people now.
That's because we've recently, Donna and I recently joined the stewardship committee at church.
Yeah. Oh, there
I'm
we go.
learning a thing or two.
I see how it is. Okay. Yeah.
Time for the sermon about the woman with 2 copper coins.
Right.
She didn't have much, but she was able to give something, and Technorama stayed in business.
Right.
Okay. Evo does buy me a coffee. We do this. All right. We want to move on to pass me the remote. Because
you gotta give you the what? I didn't mean to do it like, oh crap.
it
Here.
rotated.
Here, Chuck. Take the remote.
Your remote got a blue screen.
Yeah, that's right.
So I've watched a few shows. I don't know if we'll get through all these. Let's see how we're doing on time. We are currently at 44 minutes. So let's spend about 10 minutes. We'll alternate and see how far we get in 10 minutes. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
All right. One thing we watched recently was an old movie from 1947 called The Bishop's Wife with Cary Grant. Every once in a while, it's fun to go watch a classic.
Yeah.
And this is a black and white called The Bishop's Wife. It's about an angel who comes down. This is not A Miracle on 43rd Street kind of story. It is based around the holidays. But it's really about this bishop who feels it's his calling to build this grand cathedral, and he hasn't got any money, and the Mrs. Moneybags lady who's going to support most of the project wants the church built more or less in her husband's honor. And he's like, this isn't about honoring a person. It's about, it's for everyone. And he has to sacrifice some of his scruples. Meanwhile, his marriage is deteriorating, and Cary Grant shows up in the picture, and he starts sweeping people off of their feet with his charm, including the bishop's wife. but there's nothing foolish going on here.
It's like,
It's
ooh,
nice and clean. But the bishop starts getting jealous, and they also have a daughter, which is and for people that are trying to scrape together 2 pennies to build a cathedral, they're living pretty large with servants
wait
and
a minute.
a big
I didn't
old
think
house.
bishops were supposed to marry.
Well, I believe they're what was it a Protestant? Not the Catholic
Oh,
bishops don't marry, but
okay.
the Protestant ones generally do.
Right, right, right.
Or they're allowed to, I shouldn't say generally do. So, I liked
Yeah.
this movie, it was a fun movie, it wasn't terribly long, it
Mhm.
was, it had a good storyline, and, hey, Cary Grant, fun stuff. There were some interesting special effects done for 1947. Like, he was sorting out a card catalog or something, and he just sort of threw them, and they all sort of were green screened into the card deck. It was cheesy, but probably pretty amazing in 1947.
No, I bet so. Yeah. I've seen some cool special effects. You go, well, what was Citizen Kane, for crying out loud? They had some camera shots at the time were deemed impossible, but they pulled
That
it off.
movie was noted for its cinematography.
Hmm. Yeah.
So,
It's a
I
pretty
give The
beautiful movie.
Bishop's Wife, uh what are we rating things in tonight? 0 to 10.
Uh, Bits. I don't know.
0 to 10 bits. Works for me.
Okay.
I'm gonna give this a solid 8 bits. It was a good watch, and, it's always like I said, it's always fun to go back and watch a classic.
Yeah. 8 bits. All right, so I'll do the next one. This is found on, it's not just the website, The Verge. The Verge has a channel on Roku,
Mhm.
and I saw they had a special called Springboard, and they were going to have it on their their Roku channel. So I thought, okay, I'll install it and watch it, and I did. It was about handspring and palm. It's
Oh,
about
wow.
it was about 30 minutes long, so it's an easy watch.
That's
But they
when you said springboard, I'm like, "You mean the old PDA?"
Yeah, sorta. And so they talked about the team that was working on it, and then working on Palm, and then Palm got bought by um, the modem people.
US Robotics?
U.S. Robotics. Yes, thank you. U.S. Robotics bought them, and then 3Com bought them, and then they were wanting 3Com to spin off Palm on its own. They didn't want to do that, so then they quit and they started Handspring. They made the really cool translucent versions of Palm.
Yep.
Is a pretty interesting story to hear their backstory on their design idea. They even had a meeting with Steve Jobs early on. You see where that went.
Yep.
But they were pushing out a lot of features and stuff that weren't around for 5, 6, 7 years until iPhone came around. So it's really cool to go see where things kind of went. And they had some, as they were talking about, they were showing units, which there's no shortage of those around the world, I'm sure. But it was really cool to see. So I recommend that Springboard. It's on The Verge.
I'm gonna have to go look for that. It reminded me of, it wasn't a show. Wasn't a show? It was mentioned on a show, and I just did some quick research on SCO, the Santa Cruz operation. People who had
Hmm.
the SCO Unix and SCO Xenix and how they got started, the father and son team and the offices they were located in and around the town. So I
Hmm.
put some pins on the map for, hey, I want to go here if I get to that town again. I like doing that every once in a while. If you're watching a show and you're saying, there's a likelihood that I'll get to this place at some point, or if I
Yeah.
ever do, maybe we're driving down I-80 and happen to go through this town. I want to pull up Google Maps and go, hey, there's some green flags on here. Let's go take a look.
Yeah, I was gonna say Google Maps is great for putting pins on places you want to go, because you can always pull it up, and
Yep.
they can even put little notes on there. So if you want to,
Yes, I have to do that. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a bunch of green pins. I go, oh,
yeah,
here's a building. Did I see this on Netflix or something? I have
yeah,
no idea. So
I've done
yeah,
that for places like Kim and I want to go or go out to eat or something like that. I'll put some pins and um, Anyway, you can make your own categories on it. Anyway,
A restaurant where the mob king was assassinated in New York. Let's go
a-
there.
avoid. Wait. All right, go ahead and go next.
This one's called Camp Confidential, short little animated series about interviews from people who were displaced in Germany, some Jewish people that were displaced in Germany when
Mhm.
Nazis rose up. They said, we're out of here. So they came to the US, and some of them said, I loved my palm and handspring devices. I really liked my palms as
Here,
well.
he
I
also
didn't have a
asked,
handspring.
what happened to Web? Actually, their WebOS turned into a television OS, which is still used, I think, today.
Wow.
But yeah, that's even with the little cards because that was really cool. I remember Clinton had that uh that Palm phone, the Pebble. What do you call the Pebble? And it had
Oh
the
my goodness, yes.
one of the early times we went to Dragon Con. I think he had one. So yeah,
So
those were cool.
the show is called Camp Confidential:
Hmm.
America's Secret Nazis. And I went, "Oh, well, that's intriguing title." So I
Yeah.
took a look at it, and it's about uh, many of us are familiar with Werner von Braun and his rocket research
Oh yeah.
he
Hmm.
did. He was the guy behind the V1s and V2s in Germany, and then we secreted him away because we didn't want the Russians to get him. Well, they put him in this, um, they called it PO Box 1122. It was the code name for the army base, but it wasn't so much an army base as a resort, tennis courts and swimming pools. And well, who's taking care of them? These these Jewish guys who came over and said, in order to be a US citizen, I'm going to join the army because that was the quickest way to be a citizen and not be sent back to Germany.
Hmm.
So they're in the army. It's like, hey, private or corporal, you get to escort these Nazis around. And they took them to shopping stores so they could get Christmas gifts for their wives and families back in Germany. And these guys are just grinding their teeth, going, "You got to be kidding me.
Hmm.
I gotta do this?" Yeah,
Yeah.
these are this is the to them, the Nazis are the scourge of the earth, and, but you had to obey your orders. So it was interviews taken from 2006. A lot of them were audio interviews, but there were still 2 of these surviving guys left that were able
Hmm.
to tell their story. Just an interesting perspective on history that you generally don't hear about, you how did these what did I hear? There was something like 1,600 scientists from Germany. It was some astronomical
Oh
number.
yeah.
It wasn't just like von Braun and his cohort of 5 guys. There were a lot of these people
Oh
from
yeah.
over here, and, it was fascinating because never really thought about, "Hey, wait a minute, how did they get here?" And suddenly these the Nazi people were treated as heroes because of their research on rocketry. I thought it was very fascinating from a
Hmm.
historical perspective and from a human perspective too.
Yeah. You're
So
finding some good documentaries on Netflix. I didn't go dig through there.
Netflix America's Secret Nazis is called Camp Confidential. Go look for that. All right, let's do one more since we're running a little shy on time.
Okay. Well, actually I'll do my next two. They're really short. Red Notice on Netflix, which is
Mhm.
the action movie with Ryan Reynolds, Dwayne Johnson, and Gal Gadot, and I found it kind of fun. I think it got an okay kind of rating on Rotten Tomatoes, but I thought it was fun. Kim and I watched it, and we both enjoyed it. And there were some good laugh out loud moments
Mhm.
during there. So that was pretty all right, pretty good. And of course, I didn't go see it in the theater. It's the first Marvel movie I hadn't seen in the theater was Shang-Chi, which thoroughly enjoyed. Had a very um, uh, martial arts style to the movie. The
Mhm.
Almost like the Crouching Tiger kind of stuff, kind of big, and they're running on the rooftops and fighting and stuff like in Crouching Tiger, but they're
I
all
gotta
doing
tell
that.
you, I'm not a fan of that wire work. I think it just
Oh
looks
man.
so fakey.
Yeah, but I think they did a really good job with that in Shang-Chi, and I thought it was spectacular. And then of course, when the people did have powers, it really fit in with what they were doing. I thought it was a really good movie. Super enjoyed it.
All right. Good, good.
And it's on
I've got
Disney
more,
Plus.
but we'll
So
save my other ones for next week. Oddly enough, I was on vacation, so where did we get all this time to watch TV?
no kid.
I don't
The resort's Wi-Fi.
No, actually, we didn't watch a whole bunch of TV when we were there. So a lot of this stuff was just evenings. We finished up another series that Donna and I've been watching together, and I finished up one anyway. We'll either cover that in the Patreon show or next week's show. Not sure yet. We have to decide on what we're talking about our Patreon show in just a few minutes. So that's going to take us. Speaking of Patreon, the crawler is still going. I got to get better at turning these things
Oh,
off.
and I got to get better at paying attention. I can turn them off too.
What else do we have? Oh, it's the end of the show, so we can tell people how to get in touch with us.
Oh.
Oh, it's not the end of the show yet.
There you go. Clinton said he watched Red Notice last night. Him
Yes.
and his wife and Bonnie, and they watched it. And I see it was fun and lighthearted. I thought it was good. Yeah.
We have one more article we kind of missed out. The Geek Library. Don't want to skip this. I think it's your turn. We do have 4 or 5 articles. I lost track.
Sure. So, what would happen to the human body in the vacuum of space?
Kind of what happens on TV, but not really.
Well, we saw Arnold Schwarzenegger on Mars, so I can imagine what it was like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so imagine if you're an astronaut exploring the vast expanses of the space, and you're accidentally thrown out of space lock. What would happen to your body?
This article really makes me rethink the whole shuttle pod or airlock we do on the topic.
Oh, really? Okay.
Because the first thing is you don't die within seconds. You die within minutes. You go unconscious in about 10 seconds.
Hmm.
And the reason is because your body's mostly water. And let's go back to your 8th grade science. Or even if you look at the package of how to boil something, and it says if you're boiling above this particular altitude, you have to change the time. Or the
Right. Oh, yeah. True. Yeah.
because the lower the pressure, the lower the boiling temperature. So what normally boils at 100 degrees C at sea level boils at something less than that at high altitude because the air pressure is lower. The air molecules are not pressing as hard to keep that stuff together. So the bubbles that form from boiling form easier in lower pressure because there's no pressure to hold them in. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, go to the extreme where you're in space and there's no pressure at all. Your blood and the fluids in your body start to boil immediately, which is generally bad. You
can't feel good.
You can suffer an embolism or an embolism.
Embolism.
No,
Embolism.
no. I thought this was a typo, and then I saw it twice, and then I went and looked it up. An embolism is not the same as an embolism. Spelled the same way. It's just one doesn't have
Oh,
an
I see.
M.
Okay.
An embolism is generally from a clot, a stoppage in your arteries, possibly by a bubble,
Mhm.
but it might be something else, like a blood clot. An embolism or an embolism, I didn't look up the pronunciation on that one, but I'm just going to say embolism is when the blood and the waters and stuff literally boil and turn to gas.
Right.
You ever wonder why there's no liquid water in space? Because it's either going to be gas because it
Oh,
boils
yeah.
away or
Mhm.
solid ice. And that's why comets go right from solid ice to gaseous trail.
True.
But
Yep.
that's a different thing. This is a nasty, nasty experience. And there's one guy who did survive it back in 1966. Scroll down and find this real fast. 1966. There it is.
Jim
Jim
LeBlanc.
LeBlanc. Yes,
Mhm.
he was an aerospace engineer at NASA, and he was helping test the performance of spacesuit prototypes. And you imagine the ones back then looked like they're from sci-fi movies because, well, pretty much they were. And At one point in the test, the hose that was feeding the pressurized air into his suit was, disconnected.
Oh no.
And here's his quote. I stumbled backwards. I could feel the saliva on my tongue start to bubble just before I went unconscious. And that's kind of the last thing I remember. Like,
Wow.
man. Oh, man. Yeah. The formation of gas bubbles in bodily fluids, known as an ebolism, also occurs in deep water scuba divers when they surface too quickly because they go from
Right.
an underwater environment of high pressure to low pressure at the water surface.
That's
And
the bends, right? Is that what that's called?
no,
The
the
bends?
bends is when the nitrogen gas comes out of solution.
Oh, nitrogen gas. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And forms around your joints. And then, ow. So, yeah, former scuba diver. Well, actually, I'm still certified, but I used to teach scuba
Expired
diving.
in 1998.
No, it never expires. That's the
Oh.
scary part. But if I were to go scuba diving, I would get a refresher course because a lot of the technology's changed. But the
I was gonna
physics,
say a lot of it's probably different by now.
well,
When's the
yeah,
last time you went? When's the last time you went?
30 years ago.
30?
Yep.
I mean, I guess the basic stuff is pretty much the same, but
Well,
yeah, a lot of
that's what I would have thought about CPR too, but it has changed also. We learned things, and that's why I would
Yeah.
go for a refresher course.
Actually, the last time I took CPR class, they were like, "No, that's not the way we do it anymore. Now we do it
Right.
this way." I was like, "Okay,
Yeah, I heard you don't even do any breathing now. It's just all heart compressions. Like, well,
thank God.
okay.
Hold
Yeah.
still. I'm trying to, it's easier to push air in your lungs if you don't fight."
You just knock them unconscious then.
That's right.
So,
Anyway.
yeah, going into the vacuum of space is not something you want to do. And the moral of the story at the end is always wear a spacesuit.
Yeah. All right.
I thought that
Remember,
was right.
kids, next time you find yourself out and floating in space, remember your spacesuit.
And we are at the end of the show, so it means it's time for our question of the week this week. What is the one thing that fascinates you about space?
Well, we talked a lot about space tonight.
You
Actually,
did.
well, I can tell you, for me, it's probably how big it is.
It's very large.
Yeah. What was that? I just saw a
Everything is so
story.
spread out. There's so much space in between everything.
Yeah, this one guy. This guy was. He was talking about a miniature of our solar system, and to give you a scale, I forget what the actual scale was, but because of the distance, the thing was 3 miles long.
Right. And I
But
think I
there,
remember seeing that one too.
yeah.
Well, it depends if you go out to Pluto or if you go out to Neptune, but it's a very long thing. And he said, here's the scale. The sun is going to be this beach ball.
Hmm.
And based on that, he was able to line things up. And yeah, it got pretty ridiculous really quick.
Yeah. Yeah, buddy. What about
And
you?
I think it's the thing that amazes me or fascinates me most is just how much we don't know and the discoveries we continue to make.
Hmm.
So that's the fascinating part. I don't think we need to send humans to explore all this stuff.
Okay.
Uh,
Oh, you're one of those people. I'm just kidding.
yeah, I value the human lives.
Yeah.
So
I know the
anyway,
money could be
we've
probably
talked
better,
about it.
better well spent in making us
There's
some
just,
electric
look,
cars.
look at some of the stories we had tonight about drilling into rocks on Mars and
Mhm.
discovering stuff up there. And that's our neighbor planet, for crying out loud. So a lot of stuff. Okay, I think that takes us to the end of the show. So let's roll that ending music.
Well, speaking
what-
of
Yes.
speaking of neighbor planets, nobody's clamoring to go to Venus. I don't know why.
It's the rainy season.
It's always the rainy season.
Why not going?
Not that kind of rain.
Hey, if you want to get in touch with us, you can call us at 707-530-2428. We haven't heard from a lot of you in a long time. 707-530-CHAT, as in Chuck Chat. Get it? You can also email us, technorama@chuckchat.com. If you just want to drop us a quick line or something you've got feedback about tonight's show or previous show that you've heard, love to hear from you. Find our podcast at chuckchat.com/technorama. We'd love to hear from you. And always tell a friend. It's pretty much fun. Don't forget about our Patreon page, patreon.com/Technorama podcast. Craig, give us a binary high five because it's time to get out of here.
All right, 101. Hey, by the way, I wonder if I can get some travel insurance to Venus.
No, get an umbrella. And we have stopped recording. I also made a backup recording on the H6 because I
I
figured
don't
out
think
a
the
way.
umbrella would last long.
It would get it'd always be in that perpetual inverted mode where it's
Yeah. Well, with the pressure on it go flop.
we were having lunch at Duke's Beach House on Maui, and you could see just over the dune enough to see one of those beach umbrellas, but it was kind of windy. And the guy was
Yeah.
trying to stick it straight up, which you don't do in a wind. You aim it into
Oh,
the
yeah.
wind a little bit. So this thing is like inverted. Now the guy's
Yeah.
trying to fold it back down.
Yeah.
It was just comical watching the whole thing. And we're just, sipping our Mai Tai or whatever it was.
Right.
Have a nice time out there, buddy.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I didn't go offer to help.
Why not?
Okay, let's do that and turn this banner off. Think. There we go. And thank you everybody for joining us. We're going to go record our Patreon show real quick, and then we are out of here. I think we'll be recording again next week, correct?
I believe so.
Not the Thanksgiving weekend yet here in the U.S. So until then, let's end our broadcast and wave goodbye, Kreg.
Bye.
See you.
Bye, everybody.
That's right.
I'll give you 2 hands. See you.
Bye.